Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, welcome back to the epic RosterWatch Podcast, or maybe I should say now the RosterWatch live stream. Who knows if we'll be putting this on the podcast feed, but we are here with you guys on YouTube to talk about this day two, this second round of the NFL draft, and we've already had a couple of interesting things go off. Byron, I'm Alex Dunlap here with Byron Lambert. Byron, Tee Higgins went, and then a guy who's better than Tee Higgins went right after him, Michael Pittman Jr. Just your thoughts. Tee Higgins of Clemson to the Cincinnati Bengals. That seems like an Auden Tate eventual replacement. I can see a lot of similarities in those two guys as I look at the comps and everything like that. I believe my comp actually is when I look at the rookie cheat sheet. It's funny. My comp for Tee Higgins, he actually has a little bit of AJ Green to his game, hilariously. So maybe look into the future in that regard. Michael Pittman to the Colts. Just your thoughts on all this. I can't believe Denzel Mims is still not going off the board whenever we have these two assholes already finding their NFL homes.
Well, I think the reason that you are considering Auden Tate when Tee Higgins comes to mind is because, generally speaking, the draft community and counterparts of ours, including ourselves, had gotten kind of low on Tee Higgins early in the process, here late in the process, and it makes you wonder. We might be thinking more Auden Tate when it comes to Tee Higgins, but as you kind of teased there, Zach Taylor and the Bengals may actually be thinking more AJ Green now. Considering AJ Green is an unrestricted free agent after this season, I'd say it's more likely that they're trying to manufacture some kind of depth there. I mean, John Ross, he still has a little bit of time left on his rookie contract, but they're not going to offer him his fifth year, so he's close to being done. As we were observing before the show, Auden Tate being a 7th round draft pick, only
big news
deal. So they have a whole bunch of guys here who are getting towards the end of their contract, and it just looks like they're trying to surround Joe Burrow with as much talent as they can. That said, Tee Higgins, a guy that we were pretty low on, and most of the folks we trust had gotten pretty low on, but that was contrary, of course, to what we were hearing coming out of the NFL. So, our nitpicks with him were he didn't play nearly as physical or as explosive, and didn't have as reliable a hands and somewhat of a raw route tree coming out of Clemson. On the flip side, you do see some big playability there with a pretty nice size profile. So apparently that's what the Bengals are going for. I'm not sure how high we're really going to be able to get on Tee Higgins in our early Dynasty rookie rankings, Alex.
All right, so here's what we got going on. Two things. One, DeAndre Swift just went to the Detroit Lions, which is a nightmare. The second thing is, just in chat, let us know, how is the audio? Can you hear us? Either in the YouTube chat, we have Victor Rogers saying in the YouTube chat that the audio is low. You guys let us know if you're having the same problem. Can you hear? Byron is quite a bit low. Byron, can you go into your settings, into system preferences, and get that mic turned up? Hey, Sapper Stud, am I too low? Is it just Byron? Can you guys hear me at all? And we'll get it figured out. I wish we. All right, thanks. So Sapper Stud says I'm good. Byron, if you could. Maybe if you have the same mic as I do, you could probably just twist this little input here on the bottom.
Well, and turn it up a little bit there. I think it's
there. I think you're better because I was having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Yeah, this is gonna be funny if we put this on a podcast to have all this shit. All right, so
it's all good.
We're good.
Live RosterWatch. Live video cast.
I feel like before we even talk about Michael Pittman, because he's going to be interesting. All right, guys, thanks. As long as you're here, man. If you guys are on YouTube, if you guys could just write some kind of comment on this YouTube video, just right underneath it, we'd really appreciate it. You can just say, Trashman sucks, or it really doesn't matter. You could say you don't like broccoli or anything. Like our robot genius overlords apparently that feeds their algorithm. So if you guys could do that for us and make sure I'm subscribed on YouTube, we would definitely appreciate it. DeAndre Swift got swindled. Lions.
I think Kerryon Johnson might have just gotten swindled. Look, DeAndre Swift was a 15-touch guy last year and a 12.7 per touch per game guy on his career at Georgia. So
they just love committee backs.
Cannibalistic in terms of the style that those guys are playing with, but it's been pretty self-evident with Kerryon Johnson since he came out, and I'm not at all surprised by Swift. But look, this is where we've arrived with the NFL, is that even if they're not projecting workhorse volume for these guys, they're just flat out taking the elusive players earlier, especially the ones who can catch the football. And this very much is a big bump in my models this year, that quality when it comes to these running backs. And I mean, right off the bat, Edward Helaire and DeAndre Swift, I think the proof is in the pudding. That said, they're probably, they might not get the volume that somebody like Jonathon Taylor gets if he lands in the right place. There'll be some interesting decisions we got to make, Alex.
Well, Jonathon Taylor, we're going to get we've had the discussion, and I want to talk about Michael Pittman, but we've had the discussion about Jonathon Taylor, and if anybody could take over the rookie 1.01 over Clyde Edwards-Helaire at this point, Jonathon Taylor, it feels like he could if he went to Miami or Tampa Bay, and I almost think that that's it. So people
if he went to Los Angeles, I think you could be pretty interested.
Oh, the Rams. Sure.
What a replacement that would be for Todd Gurley. Just
plug and play.
Don't even be plug and play. Just go right on with Jonathon Taylor. You get Darrell Henderson there as your guy who can catch the football that they don't sound overly enthused about there in Los Angeles. I think that'd be an excellent fit as well too. Especially
John M.
trying to win right now still.
John M. in the YouTube chat asking, I have Swift in a keeper, or I throw him back and draft at 1.06. Is this in a keeper league or a dynasty rookie draft, John M? If you could clarify there, because clearly in a redraft keeper league you would not keep him. But if we're talking dynasty rookie draft, where the rookies are all that's in your player pool, that might be a different conversation, and we could talk it over. But as I'm looking at it right now, I mean, I'm not sure that it's going to be interesting to see because pre NFL draft, we would have taken DeAndre Swift before any of these wide receivers, right? Don't you think? We would have taken Swift before any of these wideouts. Probably would have taken Taylor before any of these wideouts. Not
necessarily over the top couple of guys. That might have been close there.
But just from a...
I didn't expect DeAndre Swift to get drafted the volume. He hasn't had that profile. So, I mean, if he'd landed in Kansas City, then I would have been doing cartwheels just the same as Edwards-Helaire landing there. But I wasn't. Poor
old Dave Gettleman, man, just wearing this mask inside his house. I guess he had. Have we got any word about what that's about? Why Gettleman's wearing
issues in the past? So
I think maybe he has like technical helpers in there helping him. You think? Maybe it's kind of rude to give him shit. He probably has technical helpers in there helping him.
It could be that he's there. He represents New York as well, and that's a city that's still operating under much different conditions than most of the rest of the country.
I've never seen anybody wear that shit. I've never seen anybody wear a mask in their house.
Maybe setting a good example for Giants faithful.
Yeah. All right. So John M. He clarified it's a dynasty rookie draft. We claim one college player for the following year. Oh, well, I mean, if it's Devy, well, that means that the guys who got claimed were, Jonathon Taylor got claimed, Jerry Jeudy got claimed, all these assholes got claimed. So you're not going to get anybody better than DeAndre Swift at 1.06. If it was something where, if it was a different sort of setup, then maybe we could think about it. But even as I'm looking at it, I think you would want to keep him before 1.06 right now. Even though I'm not clear about it. And John M's also, that's exactly what I thought. IT guys are there. cancer survivor precaution. So before we dunk too much on Gettleman for wearing this mask in his home office, that's it's probably we should keep that in mind. So what do we have? What do we have here? We have
Giants with the first safety off the board of the draft. Xavier.
So we have Xavier. Oh, Xavier McKinney went. Okay, well, he should have gone first round, and I would have won the huddle report competition. God, dude, what a swindle! The
safeties fell.
The Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick that I love in real life was the one that just was the dagger for my mock draft competition. What about Michael Pittman to Indy? We haven't talked about it. Michael Pittman, I decided at the 11th hour before putting in our staff rankings at RosterWatch.com that he was going to be my number 10 wide receiver over Tee Higgins. I forgot how you had those two reconciled, and I don't have the sheet.
I had Pittman at 8.
Yeah.
I had Pittman at 8, Higgins at 10. Look, there's a lot of love for Pittman. You heard me all week clamoring about Michael Pittman at the Senior Bowl. That was a guy that early in the Senior Bowl, he gave Denzel Mims a run for his money, and as much hype as Mims was getting post-combine, it really felt like there was a surge for Pittman here late. And there's a lot of reasons why, coming out of the program with the NFL bloodlines and just a clean route runner. And so I think we saw that manifest here, but I can't say that landing in Indianapolis really moves the needle a whole lot for me, Alex. I mean, in terms of dynasty, their situation at quarterback is pretty pathetic as we project forward into the future. At the very least, it's unclear. We know I think it takes a little sheen off of Paris Hilton potentially. I mean, just as a rebound guy this year, maybe not. Maybe it just opens things up for a guy like Paris Hilton in the slot this year. And then I think that he's a good
I think it does.
He's a good complement to T.Y. Hilton. I mean, if you're looking at just the construct of that offense, they need a guy like that. So I think it's a good fit schematically, and he's a quality player. It's a good pick for the Colts. In terms of fantasy long-term, pretty difficult for me to get too excited about Michael Pittman in this landing spot, and I don't know how excited you're going to get about him as a rookie either in redraft. I'd say a great NFL pick for the Colts, maybe not an ultra-inspiring fantasy commodity at this point, Alex.
So if we were drafting right now in a dynasty league, I'm putting together the skeleton of the I'm putting in to get together the skeleton of the cheat sheet right now. And as I am, do you like Tee Higgins more than Michael Pittman? I think I like Michael Pittman in Indy more than I like Tee Higgins.
No, I want to be connected to Joe Burrow with the idea that a couple of these Bengals wide receivers are probably going to be vacating the building in the next year or so.
Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. Oh, but I don't. All right. Fair. And because we see Higgins and Pittman as being relative, both of them, we have both these guys relatively close. As the Panthers pick here, we had the Patriots pick the Duggar kid from the Senior Bowl, the safety. It looks like we have the Panthers here.
I mean, who's the dynasty quarterback?
Yetzer Gross-Matos, so they go edge. Whoa, boy, man, the Panthers just building on the defensive side of the ball here to start. Derek Brown and Yetzer Gross-Matos. This is what Matt Rule does: is develop cultures. So if you're drafting right now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes off the board at 1.01 in Dynasty. Of course, we don't know what happens with the rest of these guys. Do you take CeeDee Lamb and Ruggs and Jeudy and stuff before you look at DeAndre Swift as a Detroit Lion?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm putting Swift down there around that middle tier,
around where Jalen Reagor is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be upset if people took Reagor, Jefferson, and Aiyuk over Swift. You can make an argument Swift belongs with Tee Higgins. I mean, he's with Kerryon Johnson on a Matt Patricia team that we absolutely hate. We hate Bob Quinn. We hate Matt Patricia. Matthew Stafford can't stay healthy. You've got a serious competition with Kerryon Johnson there. I'm not. It's to me, it's unclear.
You have a commitment. You have a commitment to a committee. You have a commitment to.
You made a great case for Reagor this morning when we spoke.
Trashman's thought that Reagor should be wide receiver 1 on the cheat sheet, which I told him is just not going to happen.
Well, it's a purpose. That's his job is to say off the
stupid
wall
shit,
contrarian bullshit. And that's under no circumstances in any universe should Jalen Reagor be wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. It's totally nonsensical. Now you could argue that Aiyuk and Deebo are going to cannibalize each other a little bit. So if you like Swift in that range, maybe Kyle Shanahan coming. I mean, listen, there's not a time that a coach doesn't say this when a guy falls to him, but Kyle Shanahan coming out and saying that Brandon Aiyuk was their number 1 rated wide receiver on their board this entire time.
Are you kidding? Sure I didn't see that report. But do you know what was crazy? I was telling Trashman earlier, you looked at what happened with Miami. They were sitting right there. The minute that San Francisco made the pick, Miami traded out of there and let Green Bay come up to get Jordan Love. The rumor is they wanted Aiyuk. There's a bunch of people who wanted Aiyuk. Like it's wild.
Very, very high on Brandon Aiyuk. It's a good thing we talked pre-draft about making sure we didn't get too
moved
low
him
on that
up
guy with those long arms, massive hands, explosive ability, a slippery route runner with pretty big playability. I mean, there's a lot to like. So you can argue it's a difficult situation with George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and an offense that's still going to be very, very run heavy that's led by Garoppolo. So if you wanted to put Swift into that range, I think Justin Jefferson, I mean, you feel pretty good about him, and Dynasty is almost always a PPR format. I expect Justin Jefferson to walk in to a pretty sizable share of targets, right off the bat. Can he replace Stephon Diggs? We'll see, because Diggs was more of an outside player. I think Jefferson has some of those qualities to his game, but I mean, with only Adam Thielen there of note at the wide receiver core, I expect Justin Jefferson to go pretty big. So maybe you split the difference between Jefferson and Higgins, and Swift lives right there with Aiyuk. And I think at that point, he's at least basically touching the players that are in question in that decision right there. But Byron, just from a theoretical standpoint in Dynasty, where these wide receivers, it's been so much more of a winning proposition to push running backs up a little bit more while we wait for these wide receivers to develop. You know how it is in Dynasty. You like having wide receivers that we're going to get the volume. And you like having young running backs who you feel like when they come into volume or anything like that, you can get them in and you can burn and churn, right? So we've usually baked it into the cheat sheets that level of I don't know. Running backs get pushed up because of the surplus of wide receivers and because of the slow development. But I think we can make a very strong argument that Justin Jefferson and every wide receiver above him walk into big volume right off the bat, Alex.
I get it. I
think those guys walk into volume immediately. So,
here's the thing. DeAndre Swift fell to a situation that I think is about the fucking shittiest that he could have. It's an organization that's committed to committees, even when they have asshole. They fucking, are you kidding me? I bitch at Bob Quinn about this every goddamn year at the combine. The pick is in for the Dolphins. We got Victor Rogers in chat saying Taylor's got to go here, right? If Taylor's got to go here, Byron, you and I are gonna have a talk about who's 1.01. Because
it really feels like with this many picks, there's just too much value here on Taylor. They're building the foundation. They've already been smart and gone quarterback and offensive tackle before blowing their load on any kind of running back.
And I think they went DB or they went edge or something with their third one.
They went DB.
Yeah,
I mean they've locked up offensive tackle, cornerback, and quarterback. The three,
and they already have they already have Xavier, so they're not going to be going with one of these. Is Christian Fulton still on the board? I think he is. I don't think they're going to be going with one of these.
Their DBs are locked up in Miami at this point. So, I mean, you would imagine that this is going to be.
If this is Jonathon Taylor or J.K. Dobbins, as Saperstad is saying. Whew.
On the other hand, Dolphins can wait and still get a really good running back later. They could wait and maybe.
How long?
Like a 5th round.
I guess
in the draft. I mean, there's different moves that you can make here. So it just depends. I mean, truthfully, I think these teams like the Dolphins and the Raiders last year who had this similar bounty of picks would be better off. There's no way you can accommodate all of these picks in the long run when you exercise them all in 1 year. I would much prefer to see them consolidate, maybe either move up for some guys they really want or better trade for better future picks to keep the pipeline full in future years for this rebuild. I'm not sure that's what they'll do, but you would love to see the running back here, Alex.
Oh God, so would I. Brian Flores has a look on his face like this is somebody he's fired up about. You see Brian Flores and you see Chris Greer, and you look at them, and we got the commish.
I mean, no offensive guards have gone yet in this draft. They could probably still use a little bit of help there.
They selected a guard that I don't even know who I've never heard of.
I mean, that's
Robert Hunt out of Louisiana, UL.
That's a great pick. I mean, when we have time, I don't know if we'll be here or on the podcast when we have a little spare time. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is let's go back and look which teams took offensive linemen early, and what does that mean for our fantasy players on those teams? I'm really excited about the quality of the offensive tackles that went off in round 1. Now you got Miami going out of their way to protect Tua. I mean, these are it's tremendous, and so there's a lot of fallout even from these offensive linemen going to these teams. And if they get a running back later, now they're in even better shape on that offensive line to help that kid produce.
I can't believe they traded Laramie Tunsil, but I guess that was what they needed to do to get some of those extra picks.
Got $22 million a year, 50 something.
But they got Julian Davenport back in return, and he fucking sucks. He's really bad.
I whatever Bill O'Brien is doing, I don't have a problem with the team doing the opposite.
That's fucked up. So we got nothing there with the Texans. Speaking of Bill O'Brien, the Texans pick is in, the first pick for the Texans. Here, this should be interesting. But yeah, wild. In Dynasty, do you pick Joe Burrow before you take in Dynasty one quarterback leagues? Would you take Joe Burrow before you take like the Tee Higgins and the Michael Pittmans of the world? If you were a quarterback needy team,
this is the next Andrew Luck in Dynasty. So, yeah, if I need a quarterback, I'm pretty much doing whatever I need to get him.
Is he the 1.01 for you in Superflex Dynasty rookie startups?
Probably.
As of now, we don't know exactly. Isn't it crazy that we're shaking it? Brian Flores has some kind of secret handshake with his kid. I love it. Right
now, I would maybe take Burrow in the normal Dynasty rookie draft. I might take Burrow right down there around where you're thinking about taking Swift. I mean, I like Burrow.
Around where you take Justin Jefferson and stuff. I mean, so basically we're talking what's going to end up being basically a late round 1 dynasty pick on a quarterback, and here are the Texans.
You know what? That's awesome. We need a quarterback in our own SiriusXM Dynasty League, and I know we've been mulling that we might make a trade with our late first-round pick. One of the guys we had in focus was potentially a swindle on Drew Lock. His price tag just went up after yesterday. Yeah. So we may just stay put and take Joe Burrow, Alex. That's not a bad plan.
I love Joseph Burrow, man. I've been telling you since that Texas LSU game that Joe Burrow's quarterback won in this class before Tua got hurt and everything else, man. That guy saw his hot reads quicker than any quarterback I've ever seen play Texas. And granted, it was a shitty Todd Orlando defense, but he's God,
a natural passer with a great clock in his head.
Anytime they brought anything, in college, you couldn't bring a fire zone blitz on him. Like you couldn't. It was like he had the Madden cheat code. It's like he's like, whoa, the blitz came from here, so that leaves an open window here, and I'm fucking throwing it there. And it was so fast. It was. I mean, At some point, you got to realize that there's not that many people who could do. There aren't that many grown men of the proper size with the arm strength who can actually throw the football and stuff like that, who can process these ideas in their head that fast. There really aren't. If there were, the NFL wouldn't have
outstanding mobility of Joe Burrow, kind of that sneaky mobility that Patrick Mahomes has that you forget to factor in, but the backbreaker against those guys, the ability to scramble. So I mean, Joe Burrow, I think goes right in dynasty and standard dynasty leagues, goes right after the very cream of the crop of the skill players.
So if you're having to choose between Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow and one quarterback dynasty, you might go Joe Burrow.
If I need a quarterback, I'd probably go Joe Burrow.
Okay.
If I need a quarterback, I could even talk myself up maybe as high as Reagor, but I think right in that pocket is where I would consider taking Burrow if I needed a quarterback.
Let's see here. So I'll just stick him right here with Jefferson for right now. And we'll see how things shake out through the show, and how things shake out through the draft. But I'm glad I've just been kind of keeping up with this shit right now. So it's not on Sunday we're having to, just having to throw it all together and figure out what the fuck we're talking about.
You know what the other fun thing will be to talk about, Alex? I'm not sure we'll get to it here. We'll note this stuff for some sort of content in the next few days, but I think we'll also talk about how the players that currently reside on these teams have been affected by some of these big names. Like, how do we feel about Courtland Sutton, Deebo Samuel, two guys that we thought were way undervalued in best ball? Those are going to be really, really interesting discussions.
Or how do we feel about Marlon Mack after the Indianapolis Colts just took Jonathon Taylor?
Lord have mercy. Well, Marlon Mack, one of those. Yeah, that's where they took best player available, because the knock on Marlon Mack is he can catch the ball, even though we know that he can. They don't feed it to him as much. It's the same knock on Taylor, so they're kind of in some ways viewed similar.
This sucks, man.
Two down. Yeah, those two down guys. So that's an interesting spot. But look, Chris Ballard just going best player available. I can't hate on him for that. I mean, you think about the future of that team: Paris Hilton, Michael Pittman, Jonathon Taylor. That's pretty nice if they can get the quarterback situation under control.
Let's just end the fucking stream. Jesus Christ, dude! I feel like I want to go jump off the bridge into the goddamn lake, dude. Jonathon Taylor going to the Colts. I mean, let's see what we can pull out of this. Jonathon Taylor running behind Quentin Nelson.
Well, that's a great point. It's one of the best lines. That's a road grading line. They're going to have to feed that dude too, I think. I mean, what are they? It would be interesting to see how they split the carries.
Marlon Mack is so fucked. Marlon Mack is nowhere near the running back prospect that Jonathon Taylor is. He's completely fucked. He's completely dust. He's completely done as a feature back or a possible feature back. We've been waiting on Marlon Mack. We've been waiting on Marlon Mack to fucking step up into a feature back role for how many years now? Yeah, well, now you got fucking Jonathon Taylor coming knocking at the goddamn door. A Todd Gurley, Zeke Elliott type of player. Jesus. I love Chris Ballard. I love the Colts. I can't believe that they've done this. These are great players. From
the fantasy perspective, it's just all undermined by the quarterback situation. But he's picking the best players. He's playing to the strength, some with the offensive line there. He knows that he's at least attempting to surround Phillip Rivers with some quality talent here in his swan. And the question is, I can look up here, Alex. How many years did Marlon Mack have left on his contract? I suspect it might not have been much either.
It's only got to be one or two, because he was from 2 years ago. Let's see.
I got it right here. So Marlon Mack. Let's see. He is due to be this is his final year in Indianapolis. So he's a lame duck, Marlon Mack. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Marlon Mack got traded right here. Be interesting. This is going to drive the value down to Mack, Leonard Fournette, all those guys with 1 year left. They're not worth more than a 5th or 6th round pick at this point. That said, if I'm a team who thinks I'm buying one of them on the cheap, or maybe is looking to win now, once you get to round 5 or 6, those guys are better than basically any of the running backs left on the board. I think those will be two very, very interesting trade targets. For now, though, if Marlon Mack stays in Indianapolis, for this last year. I mean, I think it's 15 to 18 touches a game for Taylor and 10 to 15 a game for Mack. It's going to be a split workload. And Taylor's a guy you really want to see 20 touches with. I mean, remember Todd Gurley with 16 touches last year? Those guys aren't the same without the volume.
He was still an RB1.
Yeah, but you're just not getting the mega return. It's still a useful player, of course.
Probably useful for what his ADP will be. I mean, here's the thing, Byron. Like, we're just reacting to this instantly. You wait and see what our contemporaries in this space are going to say about this. There's going to be some cockamamie talk about this. Marlon Mack has his hive. There's going to be talk about. There's going to be talk about, is this a committee? What is it? You remember Marlon Mack was like the number one high school player. All the Debbie guys all fucking love him. So in Dynasty, we're gonna get to hear this as well. Like, my initial reaction is that Jonathon Taylor is gonna come in and piss on Marlon Mack's rug and tell him to get the fuck out of his house. He's gonna walk in. He's gonna pee on the rug. He's gonna say, "Take this nasty old fucking rug that you had in your house. This is my house now. I'm going to put my own fucking rug in here. I'm going to make your wife my wife, and I'm fucking taking over."
Well, I would say he's definitely going to be the biggest.
Marlon Mack's getting cucked.
Then I remember that Quentin Nelson's there.
He's not just dust. He's a cuck.
Nobody gets the food in the bowl before Quentin Nelson does.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Be one of the biggest dogs running around in that kennel. That's for damn sure up there.
Nobody gets the food in. Yeah. He definitely, man. Like, I know what you mean.
It's like Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, man. He's the biggest dog in the kennel. Nobody eats the food out of the bowl before Mike Evans, man.
Yeah, well, Quentin Nelson eats the food out of the bowl first, but Jonathon Taylor eats the food before Marlon Mack. And I don't care if Marlon Mack's a veteran. We have Victor Rogers asking in chat, what does this mean for Nyheim Hines? I don't think it means much. I think that Jonathon Taylor, let me just see what I had written. I forgot if I had anything written up for him about his pass protection and what I noticed to that. Let me just see if I can pull up my notes here.
People knock Taylor for catching the football. I know Gil Brandt, he specified that he knocked him for his adjustments to the football. I really felt that during combine on-field drills that Jonathon Taylor put on a nice display with the hands.
He was bad in pass protection, at least from the evaluation and the study that I had done. So we'll see. But as far as in the I don't know, man. I'm not thinking that much about Nyheim Hines right now. I'm thinking about what this means for Marlon Mack on the best ball cheat sheet. I'm thinking about what this means on the Dynasty cheat sheet as we're just kind of creating it here.
Marlon Mack plummets to a handcuff, so he's hardly draftable. He's a late round flex flyer. Jonathon Taylor, typically this is a guy in redraft of that profile that historically you'd say is about a round 3, round 4 pick if he lands in the nut spot. Here, I'm not sure that's what we're getting. I would feel like in redraft and best ball, Jonathon Taylor might be a guy you'd prefer to take a little bit later than that. But I see where you're putting him out. I do still like Jonathon Taylor in Dynasty more than DeAndre Swift. And in redraft, maybe it's a little bit closer, but I'll probably still go with Taylor there as well.
We have Carlos Hernandez asking when the cheat sheets will be updated. They'll be updated by Monday or Tuesday. I mean, I'm creating the Dynasty cheat sheet as we talk right now. I'm talking over with Byron. Byron, I mean, if you have a gun to your head right now, we're going to have to run projections and put it, this is just a skeleton. But is Clyde still ahead of Jonathon Taylor right now for Dynasty? I know he's going to be ahead for redraft, most likely.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. It's just, okay. I mean, it's the nut spot for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
And I do
a great landing spot for Taylor at least this year. I think Edwards-Helaire
moving forward is going to be great though. With that offensive line, it's going to be it's going to be really good. And so that's why I think we need him right at the top. When you're taking one of the top 3 wide receivers, you should be thinking about Jonathon Taylor as I'd almost prefer Jonathon Taylor over any of these wide receivers right now.
Well, if that's the case, then you have him in the right spot, because I think you can make the counter argument. So I think you get him right there, and you got a decision between the top two guys. Now, look, if the one thing that can change all this is if Marlon Mack gets traded, then we're going to have a legitimate discussion.
Well, if he gets traded, then Jonathon Taylor
moves
to number one.
Certainly RB1 and Dynasty rookie, number one, which would corroborate.
And he'd be a second round pick in redraft. Yeah, for sure.
Where was Josh Jacobs going last year? He was still third, fourth round. So, we've seen Gurley and those guys go.
Holy shit! Did we just miss Laviska Shenault going to the Jaguars? Huh.
Well, that's
talk about it.
That's a guy that we liked more than most of the rest of the industry, that we thought was taking a little bit of an undeserved.
That is a
fall in rankings here.
That's a sneaky good landing spot, because you know what they're going to do if they get rid of Fournette? They're going to line him up as a running back too. They're going to play that asshole at running back.
Well, they just got rid of Marquise Lee, so this is their big.
Yep, this is a big move. This is a big move. So we like him. Do we like him better than? Oh, I like this. This is going to be sneaky to be able to get above market on Laviska Shenault, because I don't know where his ADP is going to be exactly, but I mean, we like him better than Brandon Aiyuk, right? In San Francisco,
probably really close. I'm not sure I like him better, but that to me that says how much we like Laviska Shenault in this spot. Number one, we were higher on him than most. We think he's got a little bit of that Cordero Patterson, maybe even AJ Brown profile. So I think it bumps him up into that tier where he didn't exist in a vacuum just from an evaluation perspective.
Okay, I'm going to save him.
I like that's a hell of a pick, man. DJ Chark really opens up things for a guy like Shenault.
If they trade Leonard Fournette, Byron, I guarantee you he's going to get the football out of the backfield as a running back. He's too special with the football in his hands. He really, really is.
They have look. Part of the reason I think they're ready to trade Fournette is I think they can sneak by with Raquel Armstead, Devine Ozigbo. Then they got McNichols behind that. I could see them adding one guy in like round, on day 3 to that running back core as well. And you get a Shenault. That's probably enough to get you by for the year if you get rid of Fournette.
Yeah, I guarantee you, Shenault. We're going to need to have a discussion about Shenault, about whether we like him better than Aiyuk for Dynasty. I think that it's just a little bit of recency bias from the fact that he had the down year this year. I mean, he had to get core muscle surgery right after the combine. We have the Bears picking right now. The pick is in. Goodell is giving a shout out to all the. I wish they would keep this. I mean, Lord knows we care so much about the coronavirus and we care about our frontline workers, but come on, dude. Like, we're trying to watch this to get away from Cole Kmet. Okay, so Cole Kmet, the tight end,
a little bit higher than some folks thought.
Can't believe he's going off the board. There were props on him earlier, the 49.5. So that went way under. Not that interested really in him, but I'm going to add him on here probably at least before the Tonga Vailoas and et cetera. Ryan Pace is just such a shitty GM. Right?
I mean, possibly the worst in the league. And
he really is bad.
He took Ryan Grigson's place in the cellar, maybe Rich Smith's old place. Really, That's just an abysmal regime.
Yeah,
it's a bad organization. It's cheap ownership. The whole thing is bad, and it trickles down throughout the entire.
It sucks too because it's one of the oldest and most storied organizations there is, and it doesn't seem like it's always been that way.
I'm thinking right now with Shenault, Alex. The one area I might draw the line a little bit is versus Aiyuk is I think I buy Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers more long-term than I buy these shitty Jaguars who may have an entire regime change too here sooner than later. Yeah, at that point, none of these guys will be the new regime's guys. That doesn't mean they'll be bad players, but I mean, I think that would be something I would definitely consider when I'm splitting the hairs between those two guys. But nonetheless, Shenault, man, this is This is a guy we said on the pre-draft rankings podcast, like, this is a guy with upside that we could all look back and say, man, the industry got a little bit too low on him during the draft process.
All right, so it's going to be 8 Eastern. We said we would probably sign off around this time, but Byron, maybe we'll stick around for a couple more picks. Man, we got a bunch of people in chat here hanging out and talking with us. So why don't we just maybe stick around through at least these Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and Denver picks and kind of see what happens. Cleveland now, the pick is in for these guys. Ryan Pace, I feel so bad, talking shit. He's got his cute little daughter there sitting on her lap. She just thinks the world of him, I'm sure, and I'm sure she's right.
Don't humanize these people, Alex.
Right, man. Fucking
how can they make such terrible decisions year after year? Some of these GMs.
No, the fact of the matter is, all you need to tell me is that Ryan Pace has made decisions that have ruined Anthony Miller, and that's what hurts me the worst.
Ruin the quarterback situation. I mean, I think
Ryan Pace fucking trade. I don't care if people say it all the time. Ryan Pace trades up for Mitchell Trubisky whenever Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson are still on the board.
Yeah, that's bad. This is bad.
Just
Cleveland
bad.
Browns. And the Browns went offensive tackle. They went with the kid out of Georgia with the super long arms early in round one. So, I mean, we said we wanted to talk a little bit about maybe teams who took offensive linemen.
No, the Browns? They didn't go to the Georgia kid. Yeah, the Gettleman went with the Georgia kid. The Browns went with Jedrick Wills.
Okay,
Jedrick
Alabama
Wills
kid.
From Bama.
Built like the shit brick house. The guy that they said a lot of folks were really noticing on last year's tape at right tackle when they were scouting the left tackle that was coming out of Alabama last year.
We got CMC Branding asking where's Mims going to go. This is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous too.
I can't believe it's a flat circle that you always say, Alex. These things, a lot of times, they just come home to roost, man. The evaluations as they were 90 or 120 days ago, it's easy to get real far off of those during the process, but it seems like more often than not, they kind of at least converge back towards some kind of pre-draft, equilibrium. So
Michael Yeager saying
it's going to be a steal.
Saying it'd be awesome for the Trashman just to drop in and like he does his own Zoom rate on this one. You guys here on YouTube will be getting Trashman doing some. Byron's about to get Trashman on some breaking NFL updates and stuff like that on YouTube here. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure and subscribe. And if you're in there, leave us a comment underneath. You could say Byron's chest hair looks too ridiculous, or Alex's fucking hat is stupid, or whatever you want. But if you guys could just leave a comment on YouTube, it would really be helpful, just underneath the video, and we'll reply to it, because that's what our robot overlords, these evil tech companies, want to be able to show what it is that we're doing.
Boy, don't you think we could see Mims go here at the Jets? That's a very likely landing spot for Mims. Oh, I guess they got Brashad Perriman. I don't know if they're going to think that's doubling up, but they need help at the wide receiver position, obviously. I mean, the Steelers outside of Juju, James Washington and who's the other cat behind Washington we were going back and forth with last year?
Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson. So they could use a little bit of help there. Eagles need more help. Could the Eagles even possibly go wide receiver back-to-back in round 1 and 2? Maybe. They've got a good roster, and they are completely barren at the wide receiver position. They need to replenish the entire wide receiving core, so that would be certainly an interesting one. Then you got Miami.
The Raiders. I think as far as wide receivers, I think the Raiders could take another wide receiver in this draft at some point. I don't know when they pick again.
If they got Mims and Ruggs, that would make everybody feel a lot better about them passing on Lamb or Jeudy a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and also it would kind of take some of the wind out of the sails for Ruggs. I'm thinking that they think of Ruggs as just the number one fucking 1A target for them moving forward. He's their Tyreek. I think that that's what they think. And if that's what they think, then they're going to give him the football, right? So they're asking you, what is it that you're drinking? Michael Yeager keeps asking that you're switching to beer from wine. That's not true. You've never been too much.
I'm not on that Kings Bay like Michael Yeager.
Oh yeah, Eagles fan is Michael Yeager, right? What are you drinking? I got a
big
Light.
Oh man, I'm East Coast, so we drink Yinglings around here. Yingling Lights.
You're East, man. So you're just saying you're East Coast. You're just giving up on anything Texas these days.
Well, I'm a Texan, but I mean, this is what they drink out here instead of Miller and Coors Light. It's like when you go west of the Rockies, it all turns into Coors Light. When you come out here, it all turns into Yingling. All the way up the Eastern Seaboard. Oh yeah, man.
Is that an Asian beer?
No, it's from Pennsylvania. I think it's the oldest brewery in America, oldest like mass brewery in America.
Grant Delpit goes to the Browns. Look at this photo of him where he's got the Michael Jackson leather jacket on with the. Yeah, dude, you don't want to run into that guy in a dark alley, except for the fact that everybody, all the fat asses in the media with their sausage fingers typing shit away on the on their computers saying that he can't tackle. I'd like for one of those guys to tell him that, one of these dudes we see at the combine, to walk up to that dude wearing that jacket and that chain and tell him he can't tackle. They get fucking punched in the face.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Bills take Mims either. I'm not sure they do it after trading for Diggs and already having
Yingling,
Brown.
Pottstown, PA. My dad used to recruit to that hospital. The
yes,
Pottstown,
sir. John M. knows what's up, man.
Pottstown Memorial, I think, is owned by Community Health Systems.
It's a good change of pace. It's good.
Yeah. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about it. Kip C saying our boy Kip C from the comments on the side, he's saying LSU always has a safety you wouldn't want to have cross words with. It's true, man. How do they get these guys?
What's the one that's always floating around when you go up to Indy? What is that? Sun King Brewery? That's kind of
I like that one.
Midwestern. Yeah. So that's how these got these.
They got a bunch of those. They got a bunch of those hardy wheat beers to keep you really warm on those cold winter nights.
Not what you're looking for down here, but those we like drinking those when we get up to Indianapolis.
For sure. So the Buccaneers pick is in. Our hopes. What if we could get J.K. Dobbins here? That changes everything, doesn't it?
I mean, if they're not doing that, you sure as hell hope they're waiting to offer Jacksonville like a 5th round pick for Leonard Fournette tomorrow, because it just feels like a quality running back here will put.
Can we make this happen with J.K. Dobbins to where all of a sudden we end this pod saying we don't know what the fuck we're going to do at 1.01 in Dynasty between him and Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
It would be a great a great decision to have, a difficult one for sure, but that's a good problem to have if we got those options. That all of a sudden that makes pick 1, 3, and 4 pretty valuable.
It's all for naught. It's not going to be J.K. Dobbins. It's going to be Antoine Winfield.
That's okay. They need defense over there. Look, people forget that if it wasn't for Jameis Winston's complete meltdown with the interception at the end of the season, the Bucs almost made the playoffs. And then you go back and you see after they draft, who is it, Wirfs at tackle? Dude, you forget they've got some players on the offensive line now. They've been stocking up there. I think the nuts, and then they got Shaq Barrett, Pierre Paul, Vita Vea. They got Levante David. I mean, this is really no joke of a roster for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At this point, I like that they went offensive line. I like that they're shoring up the defense, and I guess they've figured, running backs deep. They haven't given up on Ronald Jones. They just need a compliment maybe to him at this point. So, they'll certainly be able to get that around in the middle rounds of this draft.
Oh, sir, yeah. If it's true that what they're really looking for is a pass catching back to complement Ronald Jones, which is what they've said, then that is definitely that's on the menu for sure. John M's asking if Jameis Winston just becomes Ryan Fitzpatrick for the rest of his career, where I'm assuming he means just kind of like a backup that doesn't give a shit about the football, that goes in, balls to the wall, doesn't mind throwing picks, doesn't mind playing hero ball, comes in and has some success, but never gets another true starting job again except as a bridge quarterback. Do you think that's Jameis's life now?
It's the trajectory he's on now. If there hadn't been the COVID-19 situation with getting all the medicals, maybe he would have already been signed by somebody, but I think he would have been signed as a backup to compete, and then it'd be up to him whether he can, improve his situation beyond that. So I don't know. I was really hoping to see Jameis Winston end up somewhere like Jacksonville or Pittsburgh or something, in a spot where he might have a chance to play. Because look, he throws the interceptions, but he can get an offense up and running and scoring points, right? And I mean, it's certainly an interesting narrative to watch. The question is, would you rather have Jameis Winston or Cam Newton at this point in their career?
Well, that's what this guy, Victor Rogers, just asked. He said him or Cam. As I'm looking at Bruce Arians' house, you were talking about somebody drinking that spice rum earlier. Was that the Eagles fan?
Kings Bay.
Yeah, I feel like sure does feel like Bruce Arians has sat back at that table with some Kings Bay a time or two.
He was drafting on his patio last night.
Yeah, there's been some Kings Bay on that patio for sure.
He's a laid-back dude that likes to get kicked back. I think Tampa's a great spot for Arians.
We have CMC Branding asked, will Jonathon Taylor catch a pass this season? All serious. Now, how do you guys like the landing spot? We talked about it earlier. You can rewind a little bit and hear it. As of right now, it's going to take Marlon Mack getting traded for me to want him more in Dynasty than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as much as that hurts me to say. With that being said, I think that, I don't know, man, maybe for the super long term, him, like two of my favorite players that have come through the draft in years, Jonathon Taylor and Quentin Nelson, the synergy between those two, being able to run behind that offensive line. I mean, he could become a cornerstone for that franchise as soon as week 3 of the 2020 NFL season.
On that fast track in the dome, you really got to like that a whole lot, man.
He's already won 4.39 there,
is
right?
He gonna catch? Yeah, I guess he ran it right there, right? So he'll just be right back at home, man. I mean, that's what you call torture.
This is gonna be something where I haven't been looking at Twitter. I've been here talking with Byron and talking with you guys. Like, I don't know if people are talking maybe Jonathon Taylor 1.01 in Dynasty. I don't know.
Well, it feels like, is he going to catch any passes this year, though? That was the question, right? The last question. What do you think? Yeah. I mean, I would be shocked if he goes for more than 20 receptions this year, and it could be less.
He'll go for more. How many did Marlon Mack have last year?
Not nearly as many people as people think he should have.
Yeah.
If Mack gets traded, that'll change things for Taylor. But I mean, I even think back to the years of Mark Ingram, who was a great pass catcher that sometimes got stuck. Like, there was a few years there got stuck, 25, 30 receptions. And Ingram was a good pass catcher. If they keep Mack and they keep Hines, I don't think we can't expect a lot of receptions from Taylor this year.
So we have the Falcons. The pick is in for these guys. I can't believe the Falcons didn't take CeeDee Lamb and swindle the Cowboys last night.
Well,
I can't believe
Calvin
it.
Ridley, and they feel like they're trying to win right now. And not that Lamb couldn't help.
CeeDee helps you win right now. That's the Cowboys.
They were in bad shape at corner.
Marlon Mack last year, 17 targets, 14 receptions. So you're right.
So,
it's probably you'd probably take the under on Jonathon Taylor for 20 balls, considering the fact that Nyheim. I think he can catch. I mean, I think he can catch, and I know that Phillip Rivers loves dumping the ball up.
What's the team actually going to do with him, though?
Well, we know that Rivers loves to dump the ball off to his runners, right? But everybody that whole narrative has now been placed on Nyheim Hines, right? Like, people have said, like, all right, we're excited about Nyheim Hines because he's the pass catching back. What if Jonathon Taylor is just like what if he's the Melvin Gordon?
Well, that can happen. I think if Marlon
hand him the football and
traded.
Yeah.
If that's the case, there's room for a lot more for in terms of touches and receptions for Taylor. Look, I'm with you. We think he can get
fuck Marlon Mack.
Just like we think
they did this because they don't like him. And this is so, do you know what? Kind of sneaky, like, fuck Ballard's answers to us at the combine now. He was trustworthy at first. he's no longer trustworthy. He's gotten wise to the game. You know how these guys get.
That's how they all get. As hell.
Yeah,
they want people to like them.
Mm-hmm.
They're friendly with the media.
Ballard's gotten good at lying. He's gotten good at lying. Quick. And he looked me straight in the eye and told me that he's happy and excited about a guy like Marlon Mack being able to carry the load for this team.
Well, maybe that would have been true if Jonathon Taylor hadn't fallen to him. Maybe he was just too good of a prospect for them to pass up on. Ballard's a good GM, not going to let a guy like that go past him.
Not for long, right? I
guess where I'm skeptical is I'm so skeptical of the NFL doing the right thing with some of these prospects, and you got to depend on them making the right evaluation, doing the right thing for some of these things to come to fruition. So it's just that's going to be an extremely interesting narrative to watch in terms of Taylor as a pass catcher in the NFL. I think if Mack is gone somehow, then all of a sudden I think we got a real sneaky case to make for Jonathon Taylor at the very top of the boards, Alex.
Yeah, for Dynasty for sure. So we have the Falcons pick in. Let's see what happens here with this. I know that we're still interested in for sure Denzel Mims.
Did you see the Broncos pick? They got their guy. Look, they wanted the speed. You heard all the talk about Ruggs potentially to Denver. Instead, they get Jerry Jeudy.
Did they get
the perfect complement to Courtland Sutton? They didn't quit, man. They want to load up for Drew Lock.
Did they get Hamler?
K.J. Hamler, who is a freaking lightning bug.
When did that happen? Did that just happen?
Just drafted.
I like KJ. I like KJ. But do you like KJ Hamler better than Tee Higgins or Michael Pittman?
No, but I love Drew Lock at this point.
We like Lock better.
Consider taking that trade for Drew Lock and Dynasty instead of sitting on it a couple days ago. This is an astronomical rise for Drew Lock with these kind of weapons. And at first We'll see. Initially where I didn't think this hurt Sutton so much with Jeudy because I think those two players are so complementary. And truthfully, I didn't think Jeudy never as good as Jeudy and Lamb were. None of us ever thought they were going to be Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones that was going to walk into just a straight up alpha job with no competition. They were all going to be guys who were going to be a 1A or a 1B or a 2A kind of situation. So I wasn't really disappointed. A guy like Jeudy landed there. I thought that was a great pick that actually opens things up for everybody, including Noah Fant and Drew Lock. And now you throw another mouth to feed in there. Hamler's pretty darn good player. I think he cannibalizes Jeudy a little bit. And here's a sneaky thing: if this pushes Sutton's ADP down this year,
we're going to
stay in the game because what's going to happen is these rookie wide receivers, man, they're good, but they're not gonna be in the fullest expression of their game this early in their career. They're going to have the bumps and bruises,
especially this year.
So it's going to bring everybody down on Sutton, but really,
no rookie mini camps, no OTAs, no an abbreviated, truncated preseason. This is
going to create arbitrage for Courtland Sutton now, and so we're still going to want to own him, probably at a little bit lower price than we'd been looking at before. But I think we're going to see a precipitous. His value could plummet here, Alex, as we head towards redraft season. At which point, I think you could throw it all away. Those other rookie receivers, it's going to take a while for them to adjust. Sutton's going to walk right in with a lot less attention on him as Drew Lock's number one guy, still as the red zone guy. And it's going to be a whole lot to like there. And maybe the same goes for Noah Fant too. We have
Dimitroff. I guess look at Dimitrov's kid. He has a haircut maybe a little bit similar to his. Looks like the Falcons made the pick of Marlon Davidson, a RosterWatch All-Senior Bowler, along the defensive line. We have the Seahawks pick is in. Hopefully these assholes are not going to go running back and take J.K. Dobbins and completely ruin it for us.
They really could. They really could take Dobbins. And they could always take an offensive lineman, right? They went linebacker. They go the linebacker from Texas Tech in round 1, I think. So they've already gone defense. They can still use help at defensive back, I believe. They lost Clowney. I don't know if they're going to get, or at least they haven't come to terms with Clowney.
They haven't lost him
south.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unclear what's going to happen there. I could see edge or DB or running back here for for the Seahawks.
Okay, so they took a defensive end out of Tennessee, so that's
makes a lot of sense.
The biggest news from tonight, Byron, before we sign off. It's been an hour. Tell the people, what's your biggest takeaway from these first few picks of the second round?
Well, that it's going to be very, very difficult to knock Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the number 1 spot of this rookie class.
All right, that'll be it. That's exactly 1 hour, guys. I think I'm going to make this into a podcast. I think people would like it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks again. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Cheers to you. We love you. If you could please give us a comment or subscribe on YouTube. Please give ratings and reviews on the Apple Podcasts app if you possibly could. We love doing this. We love interacting with you. We love all you guys. If it weren't for you, we could not do this. So enjoy the rest of the draft tonight, fellas and ladies. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.